Ten or 15 years ago, I started looking into near-death experiences. This came from, I guess, something inside of me that just couldn't let go of what happens after we die. And also, I wanted a reason and a foundation for why we are alive. And also, I had a near-death experience or something like a near-death experience when I was in high school. What happened was I was in a classroom. The teacher was out of the classroom. A guy and I decided to play the pass out game. He asked me, have you ever, passed out or just made yourself pass out? I said, no. I asked him if it was dangerous. He said, no. Come to find out it is dangerous. So don't do it. Don't try it at home. Not a good idea. You could pass away. But we did it. He held my neck and I lost consciousness. I lost oxygen to my brain. In that moment, in that very moment, I was still conscious even though my body was unconscious. I was in this space of darkness. I don't think I was out of my body. It didn't feel that way. I don't know. But I got this feeling that something was about to happen. I knew that I was going to die and that I was dying. I was looking out into the darkness as if you're at the theater and you're waiting for the curtain to open. And I was excited. I was excited to see God. I was excited to see the hereafter. And in that moment, I felt euphoric. I felt like nothing could harm me. I felt comfortable. I felt peaceful. I felt just excited, like a little kid about to go to Six Flags or something. And while I was in that space, all this information started to flood my mind. And I realized everything makes sense. All the good, the bad, the ugly of life, it all makes sense in this giant tapestry we call life. In fact, a lot of near-death experiencers have talked about this tapestry of existence that they get to look at. So I just wanted to share this with you. I want you to know that based on the thousands of cases that I've studied, and I want to refer you to someone who is a credentialed expert. His name is Dr. Jeffrey Long. He studied at least 4,000 or more near-death experiences where he has actually documented information and more of like a scientific method, process of gathering information. So I would check out his videos. He does have a lot of good information and it pretty much coincides with what I'm about to tell you. And that is that we are eternal. You don't die. There is no death, okay? Consciousness just continues to go. Your body dies. It's the vehicle. It's the avatar. It's not who you are. It isn't even you. Your name is not even you. So my name is Jason, but here on earth, but that's not who I am, and it's not the extent of what I am. Outside the body, I am, and you are too, we are like gods. We are like these giant, as big as we want to be, conscious, energetic beings that are immensely powerful. Okay? Now, you may say, well, does that mean that you are God? In a way. We are all connected. We are all part of this whole, which you might call God, this consciousness as a whole. So when you are praying, you are talking to the part of yourself and beyond that is outside of the human body. the unconscious, if you will. And it goes on forever. It's in an eternal state. The eternal state of right now. That's what's going on. Everything is happening in the now. Time is an illusion. It doesn't actually exist. And I'll give you a little example. I have this habit of going to a barbecue place, and I always get my, where is it? Right here. I get my iced tea. I do this frequently. And I was talking to the lady at the counter, and I asked her how her day is going, and she said, it's going so slow today. Like time is dragging by. The minutes are just going, super slow. So I asked her, I said, have you ever had, you have days that go a lot faster, right? And she said, yeah, but today I'm just not experiencing that. But we all experience that, okay? We all experience this, like time delays, and if you pay attention, if you watch what's going on, you will see it in your life. Like some days you can observe everything seems like you're just walking through oil. Everything is going so slow and everything is sluggish and you're just behind on everything and you can't seem to catch up. And then other days, time is going so fast. You're in a different state. You're in a different mental state. Your consciousness is moving faster than, let's say, the day before. Okay, this is because time doesn't actually exist. And everybody is experiencing time differently. Like her feeling like time is going slow today is not my experience today. So keep that in mind. Everything is timeless. Time is just sort of a construct of the mind, okay? The construct of the human experience. But it's not, it has nothing to do with what's actually going on. Outside the body, I want to say something about time, and I also want to say something about our existence leading up to right now in this, what we call time. Before you were born, you had an experience where you were creating your blueprint or soul contract for this life. Okay, it was a co-creation, if you will, with other beings, okay? Your soul group, God, and you created this existence, or at least the blueprint for what was going to happen. So you may say, well, then, what happens to my freedom of choice? Well, your freedom of choice starts, funny enough, before you're born. So you started making decisions about your life before you came here. And now you're on a trajectory. What is going to happen will happen. In other words, what is supposed to happen will happen despite your interference. Okay? Your interference does not stop what's going to happen. It's your destiny. Now you can do certain things. You can say, well, I need to get up and do this and that, and it'll make this happen or whatever. I understand that, but you would have done that anyway. That is part of what you would have done. And anything that is done is your destiny. So whatever choice you make, you're already destined to make that choice. So really you're on a ride as a soul. You are here on a little roller coaster ride through life. And you don't have to be afraid of it. You don't have to be afraid of what's going to happen. If it's meant to happen, it will happen. So you can relax a little bit. Now, I want to say something else. I want to spark something about your destiny that may come true. And that is the thing that you wanted to do when you were young, when you were a little kid. You probably had this, I don't know, maybe a dream or a desire. And there was nothing in your world that was stopping you from achieving your desire. There was nothing that was put on you. In fact, adults probably said, oh yeah, sure, you can be a rock star or actor or astronaut or whatever you want to be. But then at some point, somewhere along the line, things changed. People started telling you something different, that you can't. People started making comparisons. They started to cause you to doubt yourself. All right? If you can think back to the time when you didn't doubt yourself, it was easy. The fact is, you can go back to that place right now. And all it takes is surrender. I say all. It's not always easy to just surrender. But there's nothing stopping you from getting back to that place where anything is possible. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter if you're on your last leg. Everything starts with thought. Everything proceeds from consciousness. Your consciousness is plugged into the mainframe of all consciousness. So you absolutely have an influence on the whole. Okay? So I just want you to know how powerful you are. You are extremely powerful. You're more powerful than you think. But there's fear in the way. There's fear of, I'm not going to succeed, or how can I make that happen? And all the programming that's been put into your mind over the years. And then you have the naysayers, and they're giving information to you that's incorrect. Let me tell you something. When I was in that state, in my near-death experience, everything made sense. There was no disorder. Everything was right where it was supposed to be. And if you could just rest in that concept, knowing that there is no disorder. You get fired from a job, there's order there. There's a reason. You're being brought to something else. Okay? I want to give you something else. Another metaphor, analogy, but it really did happen. I had a dream. It was a very lucid dream. I was very much aware, or I became aware that I was dreaming in my dream. And I was standing under a street light, and I was kind of at an intersection. There were roads going 4 directions. And then I looked up into the sky, and it was at night. Okay, it was kind of a nighttime setting. I looked up into the sky, and there was the inside of a brain going across the entire sky. It was a mind. And I realized that that was my mind in this dream. That I was inside my own mind. And then I realized I could do anything. In that dream, I lifted up, I levitated up, and I kind of floated over to a house. And in that moment, I felt powerful. Another dream I had, another lucid dream. I was in this space, and sometimes I question lucid dreams. Was I dreaming, or was I somewhere else? I don't know. But I was in this space, and it was so real. There was light all around me, like heavenly light. And I felt godlike. I felt powerful. And there were these entities around me, light beings, not evil beings or anything, but they were around me, and they were telling me how powerful I am. Now, it's not just me. What I understood in this dream was, this is everyone, okay? I was just having the experience. But they were telling me that I could do anything. And I felt so peaceful knowing that I could do anything. And yet, in that space, I didn't want to do harm. I only wanted to do good. So I want to encourage you. I want to tell you that you are a very powerful being that can do anything you want. This is your playground. Here we are in your playground. You don't like the job, You don't have to stay. You might say, well, I have bills. That's where the step of faith comes into play. Because there's a power, just like on Star Wars, the Force or whatever, that goes beyond what you see. There is a power that is activated that will have you move mountains. And you're not aware of it. A lot of people are not. I fall in and out of that awareness myself. So, I'm not over here like, yeah, I figured it all out. I haven't. But I want you to know that it's real, that you have the ability to change everything about yourself. You're unhappy. You can just decide to be happy. Now that sounds like very kind of condescending, like, oh, you can just be happy, just go be happy. If you think about it, it is true. If I decide to reverse course on my programming, if I start telling myself, before I was telling myself, well, you're no good. For a long time when I was younger, my prayers consisted of me apologizing to God because I felt like such a piece of crap. Unnecessary. You're forgiven. There is no being that is lording over you like Santa Claus looking at his little naughty list and checking it twice. That doesn't exist. That's fiction. Okay, so you have the ability to change anything right now. And when I was telling myself negative things when I was younger, a few years ago, I realized I was poisoning my mind. It's not about what other people think. They may tell you something negative, but let me tell you this. You start changing your inner world, the reflection, the outer world will change too. You will start getting reflected back to you positivity. As soon as you start thinking about it, you start thinking of yourself in a better way, other people will start seeing you in a better way. Not everybody will like you, but that doesn't matter. That's their world. But understand that everybody out there are parts of you. We're all connected on the other side. There is no separation. The separation is here. And it's an illusion. It's not real. So understand this. You are powerful. You can change. You can tell yourself that you are awesome. You can tell yourself that you can do better. You can tell yourself that you don't deserve to be talked to this way. You can stand up at any time and say, no. You don't have to stay on the merry-go-round forever. This is a merry-go-round. This societal structure we have here, it's meant to keep people on the structure, maybe benefit a few people, but not everybody. What if everyone in the world just stopped for a second? Okay? They have everything spinning around. I say they, I mean like the societal programming, whatever, has us all acting a certain way. But if you just stop and reevaluate your life, if everyone stopped, it would completely change. The merry-go-round would fall apart. And we would have a new society. But it takes one person to create a butterfly effect. That one person can change the reality that we're all in simply by changing their own thoughts. You change what is within you, and it starts a ripple effect outward. And you will start to see that reflected back to you, and there's a little bit of a delay. It's not just, super fast, but you will see that reflected back to you in a very interesting way. And you can test this. You can actually go out and test it. Start programming some things into your mind. Start telling yourself some things and see, and I guarantee you, you're going to see something, okay? You're going to see reflected back to you what you are impressing upon yourself. You're going to see it in your environment. You will see it in other people, or someone will say something to you that is exactly what you were thinking, exactly what you were focused on. I'm not talking about just a little single thought. I'm talking about something that you continually focus on. You will see it reflected back to you. So go try that. Give it a shot. It won't hurt anything. That's a good place to start anyway, right? We don't need revolutions and violence or whatever. That's lower consciousness. That's not how you change the world. You don't change the world by force. You change the world by power. Power is a different thing. Power is outside yourself. It's thought. It's consciousness. Power is way more powerful than force. Give it a try.